is waiting.
No, he's not.
He is too. Oh no,
He's
he never
not.
mind. He came in and then he said he'd be going away. All right, guys, it is pre-sale day. It's into the Splinterverse. It's Baby Omega and our new CEO of Splinterlands, Dave, here to kind of just chat with us probably a little bit about how this pre-sale is going and what he thinks. A little bit about some of the new stuff coming into the game, like the midnight potions and all the resource management and land, possibly, and anything the crowd happens to bring up, because this is kind of just an informal chat.
Yeah, welcome everybody to our show as usual. I hope you enjoy our guest this time, and I think we should let. I'm sure pretty much everybody knows Dave at this point, but maybe Dave tell us something about yourself, like um, background, how it come to the point where you became CEO, your maybe Splinterlands history, anything interesting, and then we can get to the pre-sale.
Well, I was going to be able to answer that until you said I had to say something interesting. So
Oh
you know,
no, go ahead.
the I've been around Splinterland since the beginning. So all the way back when it was it's called Steam Monsters. Um, I started out pretty much like everybody else. Just in fact, I mostly was interested in the cards, so I bought cards off the market. Um, I was there when we had cards with no game. So that was actually, I don't know, 3 to 6 month period of time where we got to guess as to what these cards would be, what stats they would be. It was actually a pretty fun time. Um, and then when you look at what it's done since then, it's pretty amazing. We've gone from you know people that said that we had uh, people that Matt and Aggie were just selling us digital pictures and we were never going to have a game to what we have today, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. So I've been around since then. Always loved the community, loved the engagement that everybody had, and I personally, find it fascinating all this stuff between the technology that they have, the rental markets, the now we got land, the game itself, the all the other games within the games, like the pre-sales and all that kind of stuff. And I've always found it fascinating. And essentially, at some point, me and Matt were talking, and we talked about coming, me coming aboard and helping him. So I'm actually the chief operating officer, not the chief executive officer. Matt's still the CEO. I'm just the COO. So Matt's my boss still.
You see, you're in disguise.
Yeah, it is sure been a pretty wild ride. I got into the game in June will be my 7th year, so it was about a month after the game actually started. So I didn't jump in before there was a game, but I did come in right after. I got introduced to the game pretty early. Azaria and Clove gave me a bunch of cards just for joining the Discord. I started playing the game. I remember what really changed it for me was I was playing, dipping my toes in, and then I had back to back days where I pulled gold Lord A's in my reward cards. And I mean, those two cards were worth more than everything else I had in my account. It was mind boggling. And I started getting messages in Discord because how rare that card was at the time, gold. People just like begging me to sell it to them. And it was such an interesting time, and it seems like we're heading back into a time like that where some people are going to pull some of these black foil cards, and even luckier ones are going to pull these black foil arcane cards, and it's going to have that same kind of feeling that we used to have when we pulled some of those very rare gold cards when the game was newer and things were a little bit rarer, because you've created something in the set that kind of brings that back, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys look at it that way because that was definitely the purpose. There's been a lot of people over the years that had a very similar experience to you, Steve, and all the time you hear like, "Oh, I pulled a gold foil Yodin," or even a regular foil Yodin back in the day. I mean, people were really excited to open packs. So the goal here with this set was to have somebody be able to just spend $4 and find something really exciting out of the pack. So not that it's going to happen every time, of course, but that chance is always there. And I don't want to get into the pricing of the cards. That's not really my job. But you guys, you know the rarity and you know how tough they're going to be. These are going to be some of the, I think, the rarest cards in the game in terms of being the most sought after. So I'm excited
Yeah,
myself. I am. So that's how I
and
look.
talking about the set, like now that we like half day into the pre-sale, initial thoughts about how is it going, like in your view, Dave, like do you see it as expected, better than expected, worse than expected, like
Yeah, I
so
think
far
I
how
think
you see it?
it's going about as expected. We sold $800,000 worth, which is pretty good. Last time we sold 2 million total through the whole pre-sale. Last time we were front loaded, where the first day you got 3 times the points, the next day 2.9, next day 2.8, all the way down to where it was down to 1. So it was really front loaded in the past how we did it. So everybody bought day 1 or day 2 or day 3, and then it kind of died. In this case, it's going to be the same whether you buy on the first day or the last day, as long as there's still packs available. You got it. You're going to get the same amount of points as anybody else. So I think that's going to help a lot towards the end of the sale. I would say the first day is pretty good, 800,000, which is very good actually. And I guess we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, I was very excited with where we were.
Do you expect a race at the end for the spots, leaderboard spots and stuff?
I do, because I think what's going to happen is, for instance, if you look at me, scroll down, I think I'm like 25th or something now. Queen of Monsters, yeah,
Yeah, 24th.
26th or 24th. So I can tell you right now, I want to make sure I get a legendary title. So whoever below me, you know, comes up, if that number is 10 million or 12 million, whatever the number is, I'm going to buy more pack. I'm going to buy more just to make sure I get a legendary title. So I think that's going to be the case with a lot of people. So the other reason that I think is going to be a big deal is a lot of people haven't fully comprehended exactly what's in the raffle, but I think they can visualize it a lot more once they see how many people are, how many lottery tickets there are. You can look and see 71 prizes. And I think as we get a little closer to the end, there's going to be a little more FOMO. Like I want, whatever, another 10 tickets or 100 tickets or whatever the case may be, because those are some pretty special cards in there. Have you guys even had a chance to really go through that yet?
No, I mean, I've looked at it a little. I know that there is an arcane black foil in there, right? So there is one of one card that's being given away. I know that there's a couple other things, and we could probably, let's see, is it in the post? The
It's
raffle?
in the post, but I can send you a prettier
Yeah,
version if you want me to send. I'll send it to you, baby, and then you can share it however you guys want to share it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. If you do that, baby, you can shoot it over to me really quick. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
of course.
we'll look at it prettier. But there is definitely, so there's the one of one black foil legendary promo card. There's a max black foil legendary promo card, 10 of those. And then you've gotten 5 of the gold foil legendary promo cards, max level. A max black foil arcane rare promo card, so 10 of those. Max black foil rare promo cards, 20 of those, and 25 gold rare promo cards.
Yeah, I
So
send you a picture that you can put on screen, and then yeah, it will be more visual for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little prettier.
Yep.
Yeah, the only way to get the arcane of these cards, the only way to get them is through this raffle. So whoever participates in the raffle is in a big pool, and somebody from the pre-sale is going to have it is going to win those. So that's, I think, pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing. And something I learned about in this raffle, if I just bring you back to the leaderboard that I can share with people, that is kind of an interesting little quirk of this, is when you look at the top right now, you have so AJ Brockman, who's the leader of EMP Money. Me and Baby Mega, we joined his pre-sale group that he's doing. But part of the people that are going to be coming in and they haven't done their buys yet because they're watching this leaderboard, they're looking at this as an opportunity to kind of have a free piece of marketing within Splinterlands for their project. And the same thing kind of I think here with the YGG people coming in, and then they came in late and jumped into the top five. Whereas at the same time, you have some OGs who are just here, who you're wondering if they're really just here by accident or here because they bought everything they wanted on day one. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens when it comes to this top of this leaderboard. And
Yeah,
then
and the other
raffle
thing,
day.
go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say the other thing that's a little different this time than the past is there's actually going to be not only a regular foil max, a gold foil max, there's also going to be a black foil, which of course comes max, and it will be the number one of that. It won't be a 101, but it will be the number one printed black foil, which is I think a pretty big deal. So it'll
Yeah, and
be
that,
a
and
legendary
that
summoner.
that's of the legendary summoners, right? So they'll get the
Yep,
first black foil, they'll get a gold foil max, and they'll get a regular max for the
correct.
people for the account if you get one of these.
Right.
Besides getting to design the card and get your name in and on it, and the EMP people have done this before. There's a couple of them that are pretty big in Splinterlands, um, and so they have oh, what's his name? I forget the name of it's the I'm bad. It's a guy who's going to be. We're all going to learn his name a lot better pretty soon. I can tell you that much. Let me go find
What's
it.
the new promo cards or what?
No, no, no. The Chaos, the Rebellion set. I'm on Chaos Legion. He's hiding over here. Elias Max Pruitt,
Oh,
right here. Because there is definitely some cards coming into play that armor strike play is very very interesting in this new set. So
especially
it's
now
definitely
with force field going away.
yeah. I mean, you got some big cards that already kind of swing kind of big and have a lot of armor. He already had that advantage, but it's getting pumped up, I think, a little bit in the next set because Force Field is going away. It's helping a lot of these cards that are more offensive based become much stronger plays, whether it's Squirrel, Lorcus, or Elias, or even this one here. I think all of them are getting a big boost from that ability disappearing and from some of the new cards that you guys have generated in the new set. So, and we do have one of those to reveal tonight on the show. I don't know if Baby let you know that, but Blaze did hook me up with one to share with the community. So we're going to do that here in a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, we might as well just get it over with. I mean,
Okay.
it's an interesting card,
So we can start
definitely.
with the card back.
Yay, because
just to
nobody
mess
has
with
seen it.
just to
You
mess
guys,
with
you got?
everybody a little.
Do you like the card backs?
Yeah, I do. I like them. They're very like it's probably one of the nicer card backs we have. I don't think it's something like when you play the game, you don't see the card backs as much. So something in the gameplay that I know we don't have a deck of cards, so I don't know how it would be able to be displayed, but it'd be interesting if they could be displayed. And then also if that made it onto the board, then you can have little NFTs that change it a little bit or make it shimmer, or stuff like that. But it would have to get its way onto the battlefield somehow.
And also, we are a bit biased because it's CA,
Yeah.
as in California.
Oh, I thought
Yep.
that was.
Yeah, this is the California set. That's what we're calling it. So
Yes.
But now we'll get a look at the card and we can let the community guess a little bit. So we got one of the epic cards to show you. Um, what? Any initial guesses, community? Is it what
I can guess
tribe
it's a
might it
dragon.
be?
My
Yeah.
guess is it's a dragon.
Oh, you can see the color
No, I can
and the
see
dragon eye.
it's a dragon.
He went for the easy guess,
Yeah.
but
Let's see. I mean, yeah, I don't see any guesses, but since probably takes a little bit time for us for our message to reach to the chat, let's see. People
yeah, there's
may
usually a
start guessing.
little bit of a delay, so we can give them a moment to see if anybody wants to throw anything out there.
Yeah, but she's pretty,
Yes, he's pretty. She
and
don't
she's
look
Yeah,
like a
throwing
dragon
something.
though.
She's throwing something, either magic or arrows, something like that.
yeah, it does look like kind of a magical attack, right? And she's shooting it from this hand and has it around this hand. I think that's what is making Supreme Victory Studios think maybe this is a double striking monster.
Yeah,
All right,
maybe.
let's
Who
see
knows?
if you were right. All
Oh,
right, so
Bingo.
we got a sneak archer dragon card with immunity and life steal, which is very interesting, and the new pain forge ability. So that's a very interesting one to see on a dragon card. An archer, decent speed, decent HP, especially a pretty interesting HP number for a lifesteal monster. I think that's something you don't see that often. It being this high, and
I
then
have I have a confusion here though. Just a thought, but isn't the immunity counterintuitive to the pain forge?
no, no, because pain forge is when you take a damage from a teammate
Exactly.
or
So
from poison. I mean, from
yeah,
poison it is a little bit, but typically with a pain forge card, you're gonna place a card next to her that will damage her with the I think it's called Reckless Attack or Reckless. I might be misnaming that a little bit. Um,
my point is like you want to take damage from as many sources as you can to
well, you
increase your
don't want your
stats,
card
and
to die.
I understand, but it just sounds like the immunity in this case is like counterintuitive to the pain forge since it limits at least a little bit your ability to boost yourself. I don't
I
know,
guess
just
so. I do understand what you're saying. It might also be
because
thought
it's
into that
and my
because
thought is because sorry, yes, because it's the last ability that you're getting on max level, so it's kind of like between 5 and 6, kind of just 1 HP and the immunity, which is
shrink us.
counterintuitive. So unlike most cards where this set supposedly everything is tailored towards you wanting to get max, this one to me feels like I don't know, it's kind of like balance. Like, do I want it max? Do I not want it max?
Well, I don't think immunity would protect you from a monster on your team that had the burn ability to do one damage to each member of the team,
No, but it won't prevent you
and it
from
wouldn't
like
protect you. It wouldn't
noxious
protect you
fumes.
from. Yeah, it would. The only thing it's stopping you is from being poisoned, and gaining a buff on the poison. But I think sometimes you would trade immunity from poison, from stuns, from other status effects, for losing poison popping off your pain forge. But you could always play it at level 5 if you disagree because it only gains that HP and immunity at level 6.
But that's what I'm saying.
So
It's kind of like the incentive to go max is not as big as I guess other cards in the set.
yeah, I mean I understand what you're saying. I just think that like if you're sitting here with 6, if you're trying to do damage to her and she gets poisoned, her survivability is going to take a bit of a hit, especially if she's running into armor on the board. And then you might have a scenario where that armor's not gone and she dies before you can really get that big life leech coming in and those big hits going through. So It's an interesting card. I do admit sneak archers who don't have the ability to have a close ranged ability are, they're a little bit more niche than other kinds of cards. So I do see her as kind of a play when you're going for a sneak lineup when maybe people are not expecting it, but where feel like you can get away with having this card on the board, maybe a couple other archers that attack that position, because it being a dragon card, you can obviously use a dragon summoner and combo it with anyone. Also, it's an elf, so one of the things I'll bring up really quick just to remind her of the abilities she could have if she's played with the elves. So if we go here really quick. Is that in here somewhere? The elves. Oh, it doesn't actually show them in this post, huh?
No, you know them, but yeah, we don't yet.
Yeah. I'll look it up really quick off to the side. Anything you want to comment on the new card, Dave, at all? I'll bring it back up for a second.
No, you guys know more about it than I do because you play it in the testing. I haven't played it in the testing. I've just heard people talk about it, and uh, they seem to think it's pretty well balanced.
Yeah, the community was, I mean, the testers, they were like obviously discussing with the team all along. So I think that's one of the reasons, according to many people, the set is well balanced because there was actual community members testing the cards, that people that are like dedicated cut on the gameplay, so they know what to test for, what exploits to look for. And yeah, I think according to everybody, it was a good testing, and the result was a good set.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's my impression too.
yeah. The bloodline ability would be execute. So
What's
uh,
like,
I do like execute on sneak monsters if you're attacking that back row position. If you're trying to get hopefully support guys off the board early, her being able to finish them off in probably two attacks a lot of times because she has that big four attack, assuming you can get it through and onto HP. That's definitely an interesting play from the elf point of view.
yeah, so everybody on the elf team gets an execute.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
play the elf
nice.
team, they all have an execute. So that's the
And
racial
Nidhogger
add-in.
also gives her execute if you
Who
don't
does?
want to go the elf rounds.
True, true.
Nidhogger, the
If you don't want to go elves, you could do it with Nidhogger. And then the advantage with that is you get to see the board and then decide, oh, it's going to work if I give it to her. Or, oh no, the sneak attack doesn't look very good this route. Let me go give it to somebody else on the team.
blast, or give her a
So,
blast.
all right. Which, let's see. One of the things we can talk about next are
Midnight
midnight potions
potions?
a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um, I,
what'd you guys think of those?
I'm really excited for this. I will tell you, land 1.75 and Midnight Potions has gotten me to invest probably about $400 to $500 more into my land for the first time in a very long time. I went from running at about like 52% of my plots active to now 70% of my plots active. I'm still actively trying to get that number up because before it was just everything was just put all my big PP cards on the biggest bonus lands and just collect and collect and collect and collect. And now it's like, oh boy, I got to manage things. I got to figure out how to make sure I'm making enough of this and making enough of that. So it created a whole game in between it. And then right after you do that, and I'm still like wrapping my brain to to balance out everything and get myself producing properly, you drop this on us. And it's finally the thing that we thought land was going to be. You can set up your little shop, you can make your aura, you can turn that into midnight potions, and those will be the first item that we as players get to sell to the community, make a profit from in theory, and the team isn't involved in that part of the game. It is a completely player owned operation. So, the one thing I'm not prepared to talk about because I haven't done the math, but maybe you know this, Dave, if they did it on your side. Do you guys feel comfortable with the idea that when it comes out, if enough people switch over, are there going to be enough midnight potions for a lot of the people to open their packs with max midnight, or is it probably going to be kind of a rarity? And people will have to hold stuff for a while if they want to have their midnight potions.
I'm trying to
I,
figure out because your voice sound distorted. Is it my speakers or your microphone? But am I the only one that's hearing it distorted, your voice? Dave, do you hear him okay?
yeah, I heard Steve fine. Yes.
Oh, I guess it's in my speakers. Yeah, I'll deal with it. But yeah, I'm also excited for the Midnight Potion. I was afraid I might not have enough research, but then I figured out I will, and I have three magic plots, like two epic and one legendary, and they will be all equipped with the lab, and I'll be setting my shop as instead and trying to sell midnight potions. And I know a lot of people, a lot of the big buyers, they do have land and probably they will have big chunk of what they need produced by themselves. But I'm still sure at least in the beginning there'll be like some interest from people to buy those potions. So I'll try to capitalize as much as I can.
Yeah, and to go back to Steve's point, I think the market's going to take care of it. We're definitely getting it out 2 weeks ahead of time, so that'll give people 2 weeks to make them. Um, my guess is we react pretty quick here. So if let's say they exorbitantly high in price when they first come out, then I would imagine people will fire up a lot of plots, right? Like, you're not just going to do what you want for yourself. You also do, what you can sell into the market. So I would think that we can adjust really, really quick. I think it's going to be good for resources in general because that's going to be the bottleneck. It's not really going to be the amount of plots that are running for research. It's going to be, do you have enough grain? Do you have enough iron, stone, wood? Things like that. Um, I think people are going to have to make choices. Like, do I want to make research? Do I want to make SPS? Do I want to make the black foil potion? So, I mean, I believe that we kind of threaded the needle. Like, we didn't make them too cheap or too expensive. And I think that I think we did a good job. I mean, we won't know until it's out because there's two variables. One is going to be the resources, like how much is the wood, stone, grain, iron, and ore going to cost, and the other is how much are people going to pay for them. I've heard everybody say anywhere from 50 deck a piece all the way up to 1,000 deck. So it's anybody's guess. What somebody will pay. I personally think they'll probably trade somewhere between 50 and 150 is my guess.
And also
Deck
if there is like if the resources at some point start to become a bottleneck, they will start increasing in price, which in turn will increase the price of the potion as well. So
Yes.
it will be definitely a adjusting act, but yeah, it's a way to finally start getting some DC from land, like aside from just selling resources.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what I think is going to happen. And I like that we made it so that if you decided you didn't, like, let's say you set up shop, you produce for a couple of weeks, you get all you need, you can just pull it down. It goes back into your inventory, and then you can fire it back up. 5 months from now if you want. Like, you don't have to keep the building up. You can bring it back without losing it. So I think that's a pretty big deal too.
And it will be also something that needed in other sets as well, right? It's planned to every set from now on to have the black falls and stuff. So
Yes.
it will be something that will be recurring in the future as well, right?
Yep. Not only that, we also plan to use the same mechanic for other things as well. This is just the very first one. Um, but we've already got a couple more in the drawing board that should be coming relatively quick.
Are they all connected with the same building, or you just similar mechanic of where you have to spend research to
Similar
acquire?
mechanics. So you would have to spend 10,000 more research to get another building, for instance.
I
In other
understand.
words, you spend the 10,000 for the black potion building. Then let's say we had a green foil potion. Then we would have a green foil potion building. We don't have a green foil potion. I was just using that as an example, but it could be anything that we produce from the resources in the exact same way. So this mechanic is actually a really big deal. You know, I realize that most people seem to like it. Um, and I think that's good. I think that they really, if they think about it, you can do a lot of things with this. It basically enables us to craft things, right? We can take in whatever formulas we come up with and say, hey, here's what it costs to, for instance, the wagon repairs for the battle wagons, for instance. We're gonna use this dynamic in that, for instance. So,
You mean
um,
as a repair shop, like somebody
correct.
who have... Oh,
Or,
Oh,
nice.
that's
or,
interesting.
or, yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I,
may
I'm
have, I
really.
may, I may have just leaked something. So let me just
Okay, you're allowed to. I mean,
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
just say that anything can change and conflicts are a ways away. So, you know,
yeah.
that's what's intended at this point, but it certainly could change. So make sure everybody knows that.
I
Don't
am
cut that out.
interested. I, I am interested to see how this first one goes because I was trying to do some math earlier. Because as somebody who's running about 140 plots, owns about 198. I'm not a huge landowner, but I'm not a small landowner either. And I don't really produce at a positive yet at this point. And I'm not somebody who doesn't have older cards, right? I have some alphas on this land. I have some beta on the land. I have a lot of untamed on my land. So I'm not even one of the players who's like, oh, I'm mostly Chaos Legion, which would be much lower production numbers. And it does feel like I've already turned two SPS uh, off at this point and changed them over to doing grain and wood, and I've shrunk my resources down to 20 where it used to be 30, and I'm still running at deficits. So I'm wondering how many guys out there are running at positives overall in their land. Because what I can do with my setup, I do make more stone than I need. So I sell the stone to get the wood and the iron I need, and I sell a little bit of stone to help make up the grain. But then at the end of the day, like what I have positive is very, very small. So the amount of resources that I would have to go into a new resource are very small as well. Now, I do understand, though, obviously, we have to take one of the other plots and turn them into the aura shop. So it's not going to get any worse than this. But I am worried that these potions could be a little bit more expensive initially, but we'll see. I could just be wrong, and maybe a lot of other people are much further along in their land setup than I am.
I
But
mean, it really depends on your cost, right? So let's say your cost is, I don't know, 25 to 40 deck, for instance. Um, you're making them for 25 or 40. You're selling them for double that, triple that. I mean, I think people are going to turn on those plots, right? I mean, if you can triple your money, you're probably going to want to turn on as many as you can. So right now, I can't see it's very small on my screen, but it
uh,
looks like you have like 30 research plots, for instance.
20.
So okay, 20. So in theory, you could turn on all 20 of them. You don't probably need that many, but if you could triple your production because triple your profit on everything you do. I mean, why not?
That's true. That's true. And I could definitely like in the beginning, it might be the thing to do. Take these research plots and just switch them over to Aura for a little while. Come back to research later. But since I believe the post said they need the same. It's like producing research. It's the same same numbers. So
Same numbers in terms of like X amount of wood, X amount of stone, X amount of all that. But the
yeah,
rate will be different, right? The
yeah.
amount.
The rate will be different, so I won't be in the situation like where right here I only make 55 an hour. Maybe I'll be making something like a lot more aura per hour. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'd still need when I go into my harvest, I'd still need to put out, this, and this to claim it.
Correct.
And I don't think right now this is anywhere near 20 DEC worth of materials. Even this small claim, and this claim is just for like a day on SPS. I guess this one is a research claim, right? So this is for 247 research, but like 10,000 grain, 5,000 wood, 2,000 rocks, and 50 here. If I just, oops.
There's a site. Have you guys seen the site by Beaker by any chance?
Yeah, I did because you talked about it with Bojangles, so I went and I checked
I
it out.
haven't.
Um, so I
And
listened
that's
to that.
I use that. I use that every day to figure it out. And the resources have been coming up ever since this post came out.
Yep. So if we go back here to the production to the trade hub, so if we go to DEC, oops, I got to change one of these. So I'll round them. 5,000 wood. That's 150 deck.
Well, that's already 150 there.
Yeah, 10,000 grain. That's 89.
90, say, 240.
90, yeah. 2,000 stone is another 200.
450.
Yeah. So, and then 500 iron is 176.
550, 626, around 630.
Yeah, so around 650 to 700, give or take, where these go in deck. So, like 70 cents a potion.
But you
That's
don't
kind
Well,
of
know,
but you don't know
but you,
how many you're making.
yeah,
That's
exactly. You don't know how much aura you're making and how many potions.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's 70 cents per claim. So yeah, I'll probably do that in the next couple days. I just haven't had time. We've been prepping for the pre-sale, doing everything else, and I'm trying to get a feel for how expensive these things are going to be. But you're right. If you can make, so if that's 70 cents, if in theory that can make 10
Let's
potions
say
and they were like 7
you,
cents a piece cost to myself, and they were selling for maybe 10 cents, that wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah, I mean that kind of math is what you're going to do. Our internal calculations, we think they're going to run between 25 and 40 to produce at the time we put it out. So if resources go up, then obviously, the input costs go up, the cost to make them is going to go up. But I wouldn't imagine they would get much over, 50 deck a piece to make. So what's the market going to sell them for, right? Like what's demand going to be if let's say they're 50 deck for you to make, like obviously that's how much your cost would be if you're going to use them. But if you want to sell them to somebody else, what are you going to sell them for? You're going to sell them for 60.
150.
Yeah,
150.
exactly. Yeah. So there you go, baby. You're gonna rake it in if nobody else is there. So it just depends. I mean, guys like Bugtis and Manser and some of those guys at the very top, they're I'm sure they're going to sell a ton of excess. So, whether it's 50% higher or 100% higher, it's really going to depend on, how easy it is to fire them up. And, in my opinion, I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. You can make them if you want. And if they're cheap enough and they're not a huge markup, then maybe you just buy them and make something else. Right. So you always get to make that choice.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
a question, and you don't have to answer if you cannot, but are there any talks at least of other uses of aura in general
Not
down the
aura in
line?
specific, aura specific to the black foil potions at this time. So I won't say anything more.
Okay.
In other words, there are other things that we plan on making, but I have not heard Aura being in there, even though our creative team is the one that usually comes up with that. So they could. I'm not saying it won't. I just haven't heard it.
Yeah, I just asked, like, trying to, suck some alpha from you.
Yeah, you already got one thing from me
Well,
there.
yeah, we'll keep on trying.
Maybe it can be a little bit sneaky sometimes, you know. Um, it is nice today. We had a Bitcoin go on a run. We've had Deck up near peg. We've had SPS on a little bit of a run. Tiny pullback today, but I think that we'll see where it goes from here. Um, I know one of the things that changed. We got a much more crypto friendly people in a lot of positions of power. One of the other stories out there today was the SEC officially ended their case against Richard Hart. I know he's not connected to our ecosystem, but every time a crypto company wins a lawsuit, it sends precedents. That's really good for us. I know Matt's mentioned this on the town halls. Banking relationships are better, things are better. But when do you think any of this is going to start to come into this stuff? Because that's kind of something that we've been missing this season. Bitcoin's kind of had its run. It touched 100K. It came back down. It sat around 80K. But, ETH never pumped. BNB never went crazy. Sol, went up and down a little, but it never, went back near its all-time highs. And really, none of the coins other than maybe XRP for a little while, I think, hit its highs again. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. This bull run is a lot different. And is there any worry that when is the altcoin market going to pop off? Because I know it was hard to go into this pre-sale. For the first time in a long time, I had to dip into my regular wallet. I had to sell a tiny bit of Bitcoin. I had to, because man, the alts just did nothing. I didn't have any profits to take from anywhere else to bring back into the game. And I'm hoping to see this change because I do feel like, a lot of our ecosystem, it is, crypto people play it. But it is one of the things at the end of the day that some people might look at as more like a game or a collector's thing that they get more into when they have those extra funds.
Well, but
Yeah,
you saw SPS run, so that did help. I think a lot of people like. I mean, I know I had some SPS on the side that I was trying to exchange for DC, and for the longest time, it wasn't worth it. But all of a sudden, it shoot up. So it gives it gave, I believe, a lot of people the ability to actually get some DC aside from the sale.
yeah. Um, two points on that. One, obviously, the big macro picture is kind of brutal right now in terms of there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Um, Crypto is getting a little bit of a wind at their back because it's not anti-crypto anymore, which is a plus compared to where it was. But having said that, I also, if you look at the real markets, been a 20% correction, which is a pretty big move. Most people call that a bear market. Where we go from here, we don't know, but there's been a lot of money withdrawn from the whole world system. So that is obviously a negative, the negative tape, basically, and that's the field I come from. Having said that, we're in it. We have our own cycle, right? So we don't have to always be tied to what happens with Bitcoin. For instance, in my opinion, the thing that matters most is, are we going to get new players or are we not going to get new players? If we get new players, I don't think that anybody, and when I say new players, I'm not talking about one or two, but I'm talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, where you guys just see lots of, new green leaves, popping into Discord or catching us on Twitter, and you can't even keep up with it. And, when that happens, now all of a sudden, all these other aspects, the gamer part kicks in, the collectible part kicks in, the completionist kicks in, the casual fun thing kicks in, the Web3 guys kick in. There's a lot of things that happen with new players, and I said this before in some of the other interviews. There's a difference between having hope and having confidence. Hope is what we all had, for a long time, right? We hoped, we knew the game was good. We knew that the guys running it, were going to, have our interest. They weren't, it wasn't a rug pull. We saw the things change over the years to know that it was legit. But we all could see that we didn't have new players for a relatively long period of time. For more than a year, maybe as high as 2 years. So when that happens, like everybody who's pays attention can say, oh well, how are they going to survive if they don't ever get new players? So there's when somebody looked at that, as a credit to the system, look how good it was because we're still here, right? So even though we saw that, we were like, hey, they're going to overcome it, right? When, we're not sure, but we hope it happens, right? So the hope has been there. The difference between the hope and the confidence is when you actually see it happen. And when you see it happen, at that point, like nobody really needs to tell you when to buy. Like at that point, you're like, hey, we have 10,000 new people coming in, 20,000 new people coming in, blah, blah, blah. It's really not going to be hard to figure out like what kind of sales we're going to have. You don't recognize the names anymore because there's so many. And Steve, from, being there in 21, that's exactly what happened. I mean, you didn't even know, like almost all the transactions were done by people we didn't even know, which is what happens, when you get a bunch of new people. The difference between, then and now, the only difference is we haven't had that happen yet. So, since then. So that's my major focus. So I guess going back, the crypto part is a big deal. That would be great if we get a big run. If SPS goes up, I think that helps our sales, but I'm not counting on it. I'm basically, we're going to get new players. We're going to find a way to get new players. That's what it boils down to.
I was going to ask what's your personal sentiment, and not as an employee, but as a player, as a somebody that is in the ecosystem for a long time. Like, what's your personal sentiment about the probability of us getting a lot of new players?
I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think it could happen. So
Yeah, fair enough.
essentially high, very high, because I'm 63 years old. I don't want to spend, 5 years, wasting my time. If I didn't think that we had the tools and the infrastructure to make it happen, I wouldn't have done it. Right. So I took the job, not for the money, but because I saw an opportunity and I thought I could help. So, if you put yourself in my position, it's the money. I didn't even know what I got paid for till I got my first check. So it wasn't anything about any of that. It was about, look, I think that we have a lot of things we do really well. We have some hurdles, some roadblocks that are keeping us from succeeding. If I can get rid of those things that are in our way and then, let the good stuff take hold, that's when we could take off. So I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't have a clear vision on how that happened. So my personal opinion is very, very high that we're going to get it done.
That's good to hear. Always good to hear.
Yeah, it'll definitely be something we're all going to be watching. I know a lot of us come and check this pretty feature on Beak Monsters a lot, and it hasn't changed as of yet. I mean, maybe 71 spell books, I feel like that's a little bit of a better number than it used to be. But also, eventually, this isn't going to be as important of a stat. We're going to need a new way to kind of follow this because you have the new kind of non-spellbook version of the game coming into existence with the new, what is it called, campaign mode. So when that comes in, we can actually start looking maybe at these sign-up numbers and trying to figure out if there's like another little thing of how many of them are playing the campaign mode, how many of them are earning those free cards, how many of them are sticking around and coming back daily or weekly and really in there and just just need that last little push to decide, okay, it's time for me to turn this into a crypto game as opposed to a Web 2 game. Is everything flowing well with that to that part of the stuff. Oops, wrong thing.
Yeah, the I mean, it's a process, right? So right now, we we're at an extremely low retention rate. Like if you looked on there, how many spell books are bought versus how many, um, you know, came to our website, it's still really low. And not only that, once they buy a spell book, the experience isn't great. Which is why like we're great at the high end. I mean, look how many people are willing to put in $10,000 or more, right, for each set. Like that's a big deal, right? Like we blow out all of our competitors when it comes to the high end, right? Like we would be considered a premium Web3 game for sure. At the low end, though, we haven't really catered to them, and we haven't really got in their heads and figured out like, hey, why are you here? Why do you want to be here? How can we design it so that you want to stay around? And that's frankly the funnel, right? Like when people come in, they're all not going to be exactly the same. Not everybody's going to be like Steve. I know you're a big player, right? Like you understand the game, and baby, I don't know for sure whether you are or aren't, but I know Steve is because he was in the testing and all that, and I saw the feedback, and we get a situation where not everybody's going to be like you, right? Some people are going to, maybe that it's like bowling, right? Like some people are professional bowlers. Some people, or play golf, for instance. Some people play golf, 3, 4, 5 times a week. Some people just play once every couple of weeks, right? And so there's different people that have different motivations. It doesn't mean, that they're bad. Some people like to collect cards. Like if I wouldn't have been able to collect cards, I wouldn't even be here. Like that's the thing that motivated me when I first got here. I was attracted to the cards. I love buying stuff off the market for 4 cents and 5 cents, and I still got 1,000 twisted jesters. For instance, I got like a third of the total market of twisted jesters back in the alpha days. So, you know, those are things that like are games within a game, and if you have a big enough funnel, you can segment what you're looking for instead of just one type. Now all of a sudden you get 2, 3, 4, 5 different groups of people, and now all of a sudden your retention rates go up because people like different things. So we're in the process of getting a set out, which was most important because it was already in process at the time I was hired. It wasn't like I could turn around and say, "Hey, stop everything you're doing and let's make sure that, these new players coming in are going to be, exactly what I think it should be." So essentially what we did is we kept going forward. We made the set as good as possible. We made the set in appeal, in a certain way. And we can go over that if you want. But right after this set is launched on May 13th, I've said it before, May 14th, the first thing we're going to do is figure out, exactly what do we need to do? What are the flaws that are keeping these retention rates so low, and what can we do to fix it? And I want to, challenge the team to make that happen. I also want to communicate with the community as well, because at the end of the day, once we figure that out, I mean, there's no stopping us. I mean, we're at the very, very, very beginning of something big. If once we can show ourselves that we can make that happen.
Oh yeah, and I've been around for a long time. I've been around since beta. I mean, not from the beginning, but yeah, early beta. So, yeah, I've been around, and the refreshing thing is, I'm starting to read in tavern and hear stuff that I've been repeating like in the past year, like when there was a lot of doubts, there were a lot of people like having shaken confidence that things are going to get better. And I feel the sentiment is shifting now to a more positive one, and I couldn't be happier. So also like with the new, like when you talk about competitors with the new kids on the block, like with the new shiny stuff that was popping up, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is like they're doing this way better than us. This is doing." I was saying, "Yeah, it's all cool. Uh, all the new stuff is like in the beginning is like very fancy, and everybody like throws into it, but all I ever said is like what they don't have was real economy, something we do have. Like me, we're probably one of the few, if not the only Web3 game that actually has a real economy, something that actually gives value to every single token that is introduced into the game. And I think that's the most important part in a Web3 game, because no matter how fancy the game is, no matter how much it awards you in the beginning, if there is no economy, it's not sustainable. So it will be just like a pyramid, like whoever gets early
Yep.
gets some profit, gets out, and then the rest goes to zero. So
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time if we can, go from here, get through our pre-sale, and really start to bring people in and really start to green candle this ecosystem at a time when, if people think the SPS chart isn't that nice, going from $1 to half a cent, half a cent. You have Illuvium went from 1,800 to like $10. You have Big Time who went from 90 cents to 5 cents. You got all these other Web3 games that are just seeing that it's not that easy. A lot of people thought that they could come out and just be, a fancy looking game, but they didn't have the economy fixed behind it. The people extracted all the value out of those games, and now they're trying to figure out what to do to get that to work again. I think we have a leg up that we're past that part of our story. We saw our token kind of lose its value. We reevaluated things. You guys have changed a lot of things, and now we're on the other side of that, and so it's pretty exciting. I guess I want to have that full belief that the new people are going to come. I do remember when it happened when we had Untamed sell out, and people were buying Jotens for thousands and thousands of dollars that you never heard of, and we were being even mentioned on some of the big pumpy crypto shows, and it was a pretty wild time. It was really kind of surreal. I remember one day I logged into my account and it was worth $900,000, and I was like, "How is that possible?" And I just love the game so much, like the people. I didn't really think about selling everything. I sold some things because I wasn't going to sell nothing, but it was quite an interesting time, and it'll be interesting to see, at what we can do as we come into this next kind of phase of not only to see what Blaze can do. I mean, he has been all over my X feed, and it makes sense. I am a Splinterlands person, so I follow a lot of them. But wow, has it been going wild over the last week and a half? It's been quite impressive.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and I think that we're in a great spot because, like you said, relative to our competitors, we've got a lot of things that are really really good. Things like, for instance, land. We I wouldn't say I would say we've gone a long way to solving the land problem. Baby, I think it was you that said, um, this is what land was promised to be. I forget, which one of you said it, but where we create them, we make them, right? We own a piece of land, and we're gonna craft something, and we're gonna do that from the resources that we made, right? And then we're gonna make those resources into something that we can then use, right? And that's just the beginning. I mean, honestly, it's going to be huge relative to what other people or other games have done. We're far advanced. Our economy, like, yeah, we learned the hard way. You can't just like give everybody everything and let bots play, like uncontrollably without, any thought process to how that affects humans and things like that. We've gone through those bitter battles, and we've come out of it with solutions, right? Which puts us in a much better spot than the other games that haven't gone through that yet, right? And so, like I said, I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think that we were going to do it and that we were going to do it in a relatively short time. Like, I don't particularly like I didn't plan on starting a career, right? So, I mean, I've already had a career. Even though I still work, I was like a consultant, or I was a consultant, and so people hire me to help, and so that was easy for me to step into this role. but it's not something where I want to do this for 20 years and uh, like I would like to like let's get us on the right path. Let's take advantage of our opportunity. Let's put us in a great spot, and then we can talk about somebody taking my place, that kind of thing. So, um, I, I mean, I'm really excited. Honestly, I know what I have in my head, and you guys can't yet. Um, but I will say that I'm really excited about what 2025 is going to be. And by the way, the other thing that I'll say about me that is a little different than everybody else, I don't really worry so much about any one thing working or not. Like I'm not afraid to take a chance. So you may see some things that we do, and you might say, okay, the black foil arcane cards, right? Like somebody I'm sure at some point said, "Oh, those aren't going to be any good. That's not worth the time and effort." And I was like, "Yeah, we need to do them." Right? So we did them. Turns out everybody seems to like them. That's good, right? So there's one decision that was made that's really good. I'm going to make decisions that aren't great, right? Like they'll be like, "Hey, let's try to run an ad over on Brave, for instance," and all of a sudden maybe we don't get the response we want. That's okay. Like I'm not going to quit, right? Like I didn't come in and say, "Hey, we're going to do one thing and it's going to work," right? No, we are going to do one thing, that's bring in new players. And how I'm going to do it, I'm not 100% sure exactly what we're going to do. I just know that we're not going to stop until we get it, right? I'm not going to say, "Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We don't really need new players." Well, of course we need new players. Like that's the only reason I'm here. You guys should fire me if we don't get new players. I mean, that's just the way it works. So, you know,
Yeah, no, usually the best solutions are discovered by trial and error. And yeah, I commend you for having the balls, so to speak, to try new things. Because I mean, yeah, if you don't risk, you don't get results usually. I mean, you can just fall into mediocrity and be happy with what you have. But yeah, if you want advances, you should be willing to take risks. But also, when you're talking about land, something that is not, I think, iterated enough. People think like in order to have profit from land, you have to have like 20, 50, 100 plots because, you need to produce all the resources and stuff like that. But to be honest, it always reminds me as like whenever here was the gold rush, most most money were made not from the gold that was discovered, but people selling the pigs, people having the taverns where people were staying, like people selling the wagons or whatever. So, yeah, somebody can buy a couple of plots and just make the resources people need to build stuff. So it's opportunity for people with very little as well as people with a lot. So I don't know if there are probably people that are still thinking like, yeah, I don't want to go into the land game because you need to put a lot of money. No, actually, you need a couple of plots and you can turn that quickly in in profit if especially with the things planned in the future for land and we're seeing some results. I think the plots will be getting more and more interest as we go on.
I agree.
Yeah, and one of the things I started doing today, which is kind of funny, is I actually bought 100 Chaos Legion packs and opened them because I have all that land I need to fill with stuff, and I have all those potions I've been saving, and I pulled a couple gold foil epics, and that's what I'm hoping to pull, are gold foil epics and gold foil legendary cards, and so it was a overall not a bad buy to get some cards to go into land. And I don't think that set is it going to get the 5% bonus when it moves on the 13th when it moves into wild, or are the bonuses going to be changed around again on PP for land, or do you know if that's planned out yet?
I don't know, and I haven't heard. So I would think I would have heard by now that Matt's the one that handles that. I would think he would have said by now if it was going to change. So my guess is no, but like I said, that's just a guess. I didn't specifically ask him about it.
Okay, I'll double
We'll
check. I'll
see.
double check
We'll
with
see
him. I
how it
thought
goes.
maybe he
Yeah.
said it was going to, but I don't remember now. You know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm
I
coughing a
have.
little bit. I have a bit of a
That's
cold.
all right. Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, I'll be happy to check and shoot you a message tomorrow. To my knowledge, the production power is set for Chaos Legion, um, and I don't think it changes. However, having said that, I can let you know, and then you can do an update if you want on your video. Just like reference it or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. That would be.
Dave, are you playing modern or survival?
I have I have I personally have my accounts are played by scholars. Like I have like 10 scholars that play. So the ones that are played by humans are playing modern. I do have a few bots that are running in wild. I have played survival. I love the mechanic. I don't have time to play it like you guys play it though. Meaning, you know, I'm grinding away to get up this like 600, 700 rank and then, fall right back down. So, you know,
My question is like, do you see like with this with chaos going out of modern, do you see like a big major shift in modern since probably a lot of or at least some of the people that are playing now modern will switch all their attention to survival since that's where they can take advantage of and modern will get a little bit more. Which can be a good incentive to buy a new set as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a.
not only that, I think having human players in any mode is good. So I'm for that. If there's a lot of human players that hop into survival mode and they're playing against the bots that are in there and they're able to win, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, the survival mode to me has been very successful, and I'm with somebody who was kind of doubtful before. Um, I have so much fun playing survival mode, and it's a whole different thing. It brings an aspect of Splinterlands that it didn't have before. I mean, the other day I played my Jotun, and it was when I was chatting with some of the other testers, and I played Jotun inside a game I shouldn't have in my survival mode, and he died, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened!" And I'm like, I haven't felt like that playing a Splinterlands battle in forever, because in normal game you get smoked, you just go, "Oh well, I'll try again. That didn't work." Now you lose your Jotun. I lost my. I literally remember I lost my Lamacron combo in a match against the Lamacron where normally we would have drawled, but I decided to put a zero cost monster on the board. And that monster caused it to not be a draw and us just go on our merry way. No, instead we had to fight the match and he got the lucky last attack. And I was like, wow. It's a different beast for sure.
Yeah, I actually love it. I know we've talked internally about possibly doing some ghost card tournaments with that dynamic. So, for instance, where everybody had the same deck, maybe 5 copies of the same deck, and they played in like a little, King of the Hill type style, like see who can, outlast everybody else, to get to the top, things like that. So there's been a lot of discussions about using that mechanic in a lot of different ways. So I definitely love that aspect.
A
Are there
little
any talks
update.
about?
Oh wait,
Oh
go on.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just doing a little update here from a couple hours ago that we burned over 10 million, almost 11 million SPS today with Yabamat and Beefeater, Jedi, Dahota, Blankos is on here, or Blaze. I mean, I'm sorry, Blaze Chaos, Aggie's on here. I mean,
Have
and that's
engine is
just
also Aggie, right?
what?
Have engine is also Aggie, right?
Oh, and Hive Engine, yeah, Hive Engine would be Aggie too. So I mean, just some incredible numbers here, just getting burned away, and like it's interesting to see, but then it's also like, wow, what could SPS be? I mean, is this going to be like are screenshots like this going to be, our Bitcoin pizza meme in a couple years, guys?
Why not?
Save it. Save it. That's a good thought. or
Yeah,
clip this video because yeah, that could easily be. Imagine if it's $10 coming
yeah.
back and Yabba burned $30 million.
That would just be incredible. So, oh, you were gonna ask a question though, baby. You want to go ahead?
I would just like, I guess I lost a little bit my thought, but when I remember, I'll get back to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going through some of
I
the
started
stuff on
dreaming.
Twitter.
I started dreaming about the $10 SPS and stuff. So yeah,
Do you guys? Jehoda wants to know who gets the first black foil card when we start ripping packs. Is it going to be Brave Tofu, Cryptomancer, Yabamet, or Jeff? Who's gonna hit that rip, and who's gonna have spent the money to have their midnight potions ready to go?
Do you
And
guys know how the numbering system works for that? By the way,
yeah, I think let me see if I have this right. So when we're ripping the cards and I get a black foil, if I'm the first one to get it, I'll get a number one copy, but it could be of any one of the cards in the set.
any one of that rarity.
yeah,
Okay,
random,
of
random.
that rarity. So the rarity is determined before black foil is determined, basically in the way that cards are revealed.
Yes,
Okay, so if I pull and then that card that I pulled cannot be pulled again until all the other number ones are pulled.
correct. In that
Yeah.
rarity, in
In,
that
in
rarity, right? So number
oh, in the
one,
rarity, not in the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
set.
correct.
Okay. So then you're really going to be paying attention to which black foils have been gotten in the legendary, the epic, and the rare, because then you would know, like, okay, wait, the summoners haven't been hit yet. The other rare cards have been hit. Now it's time to rip a whole bunch of packs
Yes,
to try to get those rare summoner number ones.
yes.
Or
I thought it was mentioned that when the black fall comes, the number is random. The black fall, like, they have numbers, all of them, so the number is random. But you're saying they'll be going in order, like one, two,
That's
three.
that's that's for the arcane. That's for the black foil arcane or the gold foil arcane. So there's
Okay.
two different ways. Think of it like this: the black foils are minted, just like how we mint a gold foil right now, right? You open it up, we don't know what it is at the time. The computer spits out, what the odds are, and boom, it's minted, right? So the first one, the first legend is going to be number one. The second legend is still going to be a number one, you know, on down the line. The difference is the arcanes are pre-minted. So they're not minted on demand. They're pre-minted. They're thrown. I keep saying in a bucket, and people are laughing at me for that, but that's how I look at it. It's like we throw them all in a big bucket, and then every chance, every time, like there's in the beginning, I forget the exact number, but let's say there's 11 million standard pack equivalents, right? When you translate the alchemy and the legendary packs back to standard packs, it's equivalent to 11 million. So the very first pack that's opened, each one of those cards in the bucket is a 1 in 11 million chance. So if there's 1,000 of them, or 11,000 of them, then it's like whatever the odds are of that. So as those packs get burned or opened, either way, then it goes from 11 million to 10 million to 9 million to 8 million to 5 million to 4 million to 3 million. And whatever's still in that bucket is now definitely going to be pulled from those packs. So by the end of the series, when that last pack is opened, if there's anything still in the bucket, it's going to be in that last pack.
Nice.
And it could be the number one of one, right? In the black foil arcanes are going to be one of one. There's only one of them. But in the, let's say the epics, I think there's five. I'd have to go back to the sheet, but I think it's five. So you could have a 1 of 5, a 2 of 5, a 3 of 5, a 4 of 5, or a 5 of 5. You don't know which one you get, because it's randomly pulled out of that bucket, right? So you could get the number 3 of 5 on the very first day and then get the 1 of 5 on the very last day, right? It's
Yeah.
just purely random. Yeah, was
And
that
I
right?
don't
yeah, it's
yeah, and I don't believe there will be a
20.
pack. last pack open because usually people save packs and like I don't think all the packs will be open. So like probably some of them
No,
will be
this could be
staying in
the
the bucket for
first
a
set that changes.
Yeah,
maybe.
think about it. Like, let's say there's, I don't know, 5,000 packs, right? And let's say there's three legendary summoners that still haven't been pulled, arcanes, right? There's the one on ones. And if we know there's three of them in those 5,000 packs, what's the price of a pack going to be? It's not going to be $4, right? It may
More
be
like 40.
10. Yeah, exactly. In other words, the market will pay a premium for that because they know, hey, somebody in those last 4,000 packs is going to get that one of those three legendary arcanes. So obviously we can't control what comes out when it comes out, but it's random, right? They're all thrown into a bucket, and whatever happens, happens. You know,
Sounds
it
a lot like deal or no deal.
yeah, a little bit. It is. That's actually a pretty good analogy.
Yeah. So it's 20 commons, 10 rare, 5 epic, and each legendary only one on the
Yep.
black foil arcanes. So
Yep. And then the gold foil arcanes aren't. Yeah, those aren't
yeah,
like overproduced either. I mean, there's only 5 legendaries of those. So
yeah, 5, 10, 25, 50. So a bit more than these, but man, to pull a black foil arcane of anything is going to be
But
pretty cool.
I now I have a question. I got curious. So that like obviously the gold foil arcane, are they going to be numbered as well?
yes, yes, and they
Oh,
will
but
be
they
maxed as well.
oh they'll be maxed.
Yes. Yeah, these
Okay.
are like the premium versions, right?
Okay.
Like, just think of that as like black foil is really good. Black foil arcane is like top of the line. You can't get. I mean, there's only one of one in the legendary. Yeah, you got one showing in the picture up above as you scrolled. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's that design.
Yeah, these are only rare cards, right? But
Yeah, they're rare,
still
but
pretty cool.
yeah, that's the
But
look. Is what I'm saying. The shimmer is the same.
man,
Yeah, it's amazing.
these are going to be pretty
But yeah, I
wild.
didn't know
That's for
even
sure.
the gold foil arcanes are maxed as well. That's
And
what
and
I
the
was.
gold foil arcane, there's no potion to increase your chance on these, right?
Nope.
Midnight makes a better chance of getting a black foil, which I guess in
No.
theory helps you a little bit with a
No.
chance for it to be arcane. But
No, it
No, he
doesn't.
said it's not
Yeah,
connected.
that those are
okay,
dollar numbers. See underneath that the distribution: 1x standard, 3x alchemy, 6x legendary. That's
okay,
that's the cost difference, right? So a standard is $4, an alchemy's 3 times that or 12, a legendary 6 times that or 24. So whether you put $4 in or $24 in, you get the same odds for the money, right? So you get like 6 draws for spending 6 times the money for a legendary, but that's it. I mean, there's no advantage that a guy who buys a legendary has when it comes to the arcanes. So the highest end stuff, and it's hard to explain to people, which is why I think, as time goes, they're gonna understand it even more. I mean, people can get these things with the same, like somebody's gonna. I'll be willing to bet you somebody spends $4, buys one pack, and pulls an arcane.
Hmm?
I
Well,
mean,
that's what
just
we want.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like, you imagine how amazing that's going to be to somebody that does that.
And then sells it for $2
Yeah, if they do, like, oh,
because they don't know. I mean, they're like, yeah, well, it's a nice card, but let's see how much I can. Maybe I can get $5 for it.
yeah. Let's hope not. But yeah,
They're like, oh, if I can get $4 for it, I could buy another pack.
yeah, and yeah. I mean, it goes back to that point where you were talking about, pulling the Lord Aranthius, right? You got 2 gold foil Lord Aranthiuses, and you'll never forget that, right? So we're gonna have people that are gonna be in that boat here too. So that's one of the things that also don't, there's a lot of pretty cool stuff, about it, as the set gets further down the line, it's going to be easier, or your odds increase because you have so many burning. So the burning mechanic that we already have in place actually helps that dynamic a lot, because now if you hold your cards in the packs, maybe like Bebe said, it could be $40 one day. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some people that are going to buy in the pre-sale, put them in the battle wagons, and then just wait till the end and see what they're worth. So it just adds another dynamic to what we didn't have last set, for instance.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm hoping people realize also, wow, when they get their arcane cards, that they are missing still some parts from Rebellion, because there are some stuff, some packs still unsold, which need to go up. You know.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty apparent, especially anybody who wants to play on the leaderboard. Those the Rebellion set is kind of a must. I think. I mean, Steve, you played in the test. How much was that to you? Like, how
It
often did you play the Rebellion cards?
a ton, and it's because of the racial trait summoners tapping into the races that already exist in Rebellion. It made them very very important to have. Um, you're gonna like if one of those cards is a race that a summoner is supporting, you're gonna want to own that card, and you're gonna want to have it at a high level. If you want to be a competitive player, that's for sure. This game, like the new set, the one thing I could tell, if you run into somebody who has everything compared to you not having everything, they're going to throw some lineups up at you that you're going to just be like, wow, I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't even know that could be a team. And it's going to blow you away. I remember, like, when I first started testing the first night, we were playing stuff. And I just got right into playing, and I was like a day or two after Bojangles and some of the other guys who said they were testers had been playing for a few days. Man, they smoked me for like 15 matches doing these lineups. I'm like, what is that? and obviously I was leaning back to like more traditional Rebellion lineups with some of the new cards mixed in, or some of the new things, and I was just like I remember a couple of times I'm just like, oh my gosh, like they played lineups, and I'm just, how are there like four people on the board with 3 attacks each? I don't understand what just happened. I died a couple times, and I'm like, I don't even understand, and I had to go back and watch and figure it out, and then I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, and you guys are pros, right? I mean, in reality, you both are. You know what you're doing. So imagine how fun this is going to be for somebody just getting going, right? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of fun to be had here, going back and forth between the new set and the old set.
Dave, I have a question. I mean, I've seen like recently in Twitter, I seen some videos, not like some animations from some of the characters that are coming in the set. Does it mean at some point we might start seeing animated battles in some shape or form? Because there was some very cool animations from the new characters in the set.
I don't think we're close to that. Um, I would love to have it. So if we had a bigger team, that would certainly be something we could do. Right now, our focus is going to be on the new players, and in addition to the new players, going to be delivering some of the stuff that for instance, other modes. You
So
know,
is it more like of a marketing tool at this point?
yeah, yes. In
Okay.
other words, they're making it pretty so that and polished so that people can understand like where we are, what quality we are, but we're not ready yet for in-game you know animation, not yet.
Okay, because I saw like a couple of this like animated stuff, and I was like,
You
that
know,
looks like
I thought the person who was
awesome.
doing that was just doing them
I
with an
think Ghostly
AI.
has I think Ghostly has
It's
some
is
some that
it
he
Ghostly
shared.
that did it?
Yes. Yep.
It's
Yeah,
with H.
Ghostly. Yeah, Ghostly's. Yeah, he's got some great stuff. But keep in mind, he's using AI. We don't use AI,
No, no, no. I
and
mean, I don't think. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the ones that I've seen, I think they were, yeah,
If
they were
this
from
is
the
what you're
team.
talking about, this
Yes.
is just Ghostly's just doing this with AI for fun.
yes,
Oh, okay.
He's
yeah,
just taking their original images, adding some animations to them, and then
Okay, okay,
asking the computers to create these 3D guys. I mean, they're
okay.
cool. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, very cool.
And it's and one of the other things that's very cool too for anyone who doesn't know is that generally if you're just promoting Splinterlands, the team doesn't mind when you do stuff like this. They're not going to come, how dare you use our IP to promote our game for us?
Right.
So that's one of the things that's always very cool about them. And I mean, I haven't had a chance to talk to Ghostly. I don't know how he's making these,
I
but
do.
they're very
He,
cool.
yeah, very cool. I mean, very impressive, and it's something to strive for, right? Like honestly, it the IP of our game is huge, and it's going to get even better. And all these things that these guys can do, like the sky's the limit. So we're just not there yet because we need to have individual people doing this. We're not about to, have AI create that. There's a lot of games out there that do that. That that's just not us. We want authenticity, essentially.
Dave, do you have the chat open?
I can. You're
No, I
talking
mean
about the
because
Discord.
no, it's the link that I sent you from the YouTube chat. I mean, there is a question for you from Tails. He's
Okay.
asking, Dave, do you think new players might just see the game as pay to win and get discouraged easily? And what is the plan to catch the interest and keep the attention of new players that don't own California to California sets to start?
All right. The on the pay to win part, I have some ideas on that. I don't believe that we can continue to pay SPS and or deck like we have all this time. So we're going to have to create things that people want to play for other than SPS and deck. I have some ideas myself. I'm going to ask the team. I'm going to ask the community. We're going to come up with things that people do want to play for. And I think that there's plenty of opportunities there. What was the second part of that question, baby?
What's the plan to catch the interest and keep the attention of new players that don't own the California sets?
The
The Conclave Arcana.
well in the campaign mode, they're going to be earning, the foundation set cards. So it's a full set of cards. I believe it's 52 cards. So it's I think it's north of 50. It might be 58 or something like that. But um, they're going to be cards that are similar to the Conclave Arcana, except for they'll be worse. Right? They won't be as good, and they'll be able to play those, themselves and collect them and build a set and learn how to play the game. And you know, if they won't earn anything other than soulbound stuff at the current time, without a spell book. Having said that, that's the way it's designed at this point. In the future, I want to figure out what else we can do, right? Like, not everybody comes here to be a gamer. Some people, like I said, can come here to be a collector. So I'm perfectly happy as a player if I could earn, my rusty androids and my, wood nymphs and all the different cards that I earned over the years. Like, I played for that, right? Like, I didn't play to be on the leaderboard. I played to win cards. So we're gonna think of that and, come up with things other than SPS and deck to reward people. And sometimes the reward can just be fun. Like, if you just create a fun, engaging, exciting experience where people are challenged. That's sometimes that's good enough. I mean, there's a lot of Web 2 games out there that's all they sell, right? So we have more. So I guess to answer that question, I think you said Tails was the one that asked it.
Yeah.
There's more than just one type of person that we're going to appeal to. We're going to try to appeal. There's about 10 groups that we have, including collectors, gamers, uh, uh, the Game Boys, the stakers, the investors, the people that want to, sort of be scholars. There's a lot of different, boxes to check.
And that reminded me what I wanted to ask like 15 minutes ago when I lost my thought. I wanted to ask like, are there any words like how close are we to having an initial at least glamour?
Okay, say that again. I heard the glamour part, but I missed the earlier
Yeah,
part.
like are we any close like is it like still a top, well, maybe not top priority, but is it still a priority, the glamour? Is it, are we any close to having the initial view of the glamour mechanics?
Yes, the answer is yes. We intentionally haven't done anything new on the priority boards until we get through the Conclave Arcana set. Glamour is going to be one at the top. It's a big deal in terms of, for existing players, also for new players. So when I talked about like giving people things other than deck or SPS, that's one of them, for instance. So it's definitely going to be high on the priority list. It's a way to, enhance our IP, create some really cool things that people want. So it's going to be in our repertoire for sure.
And there
Yeah,
is a
and
question for channel magnetic. Is there going to be a subset for Conclave Arcana?
When you say subset, you're talking about reward subset
No, no,
or
can
I
like
think he's
dice
meaning
like
Dice, Rift Watchers. Do you know if they currently plan a mini set?
um,
I think is what they're
no,
usually called.
yeah, yeah, we haven't got through that far yet. No.
Yeah,
In
so
other
as of
words,
right
the,
now,
the
no.
plan is to get through Conclave Arcana, see how we do, see where we stand, make sure everybody likes it. Seems like the reaction has been relatively positive. In fact, I would say really positive overall. It seems like you guys, meaning the guys that are out there talking to people, have been giving us good feedback. That's all important. Then we're going to go for new players hard, and at the same time, we're going to try to deliver a lot of the things that are going to improve the experience for the existing people at the same time. So, for instance, I mentioned new modes earlier. We didn't really talk about it, but I believe that we should have more modes. So,
Yeah, Tails follow up to the campaign mode. He's wondering, is it going to coincide? Like, is it going to come out close to the launch of Arcane? Ugh, Conclave Arcana. I always go to say it backwards for some reason.
California.
Or yeah, is like do you think that the team will have campaign mode ready right away, and is it that going to be a big part of the marketing push when we go out to bring in the new players? Is come play for free, play this mode.
The way I explain it, it was designed before I got here. So, I would say I certainly believe it's going to help. So, it's one of those things that obviously, if you can teach people how to play the game much more effectively than you have done in the past, it's going to improve your retention rate. Is it going to move the retention rate up to where my expectations are? Probably not. But having said that, it's not like everything you do is going to like be oh wow, we just found the exact thing that we need to do and that's it. No, it's like a lot of things that we have to do, and this is one of them. So I'm happy that we have it. I think that it will be a plus, but it's by no means the only thing that we're going to do that's going to solve our problem. It's just one of the things. And will it be out by the time Conclave Arcana launches? That's the plan. We were actually hoping to have it out 2 weeks early. That's probably not going to happen because of some of the things that we've had to do to make sure we get Conclave Arcana out on time. So that has been pushed back at least a week. So now the goal is to get it out a week before launch. But
Okay.
whether it's out on the day of launch or out a week later or a week before, I don't think it's too material because again, when you're getting new players, it's not like these new players are going to come in and spend, $10,000 right off the bat, right? They're going to come in, they're going to learn the game, they're going to play the game, they're going to talk about the game, and if they're having a good time and having fun, we're going to find the Vuctuses and the Stevers and the Babies and the Tails and the, all the different type of people just over time, right? So we're going to go get a lot of different people and then, make sure they have a good experience.
And then Ank has a question from Twitch. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one, but he's wondering if Rebellion cards who are on Mage Wagons, they're only going to be earning half points. So will some of the restrictions be lifted from them? The main one he's wondering is being able to rent those cards out and have them on a Mage Wagon at the same time, or is it really just going to be the same setup as before, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, the same setup as before. Nobody has mentioned anything different.
All right, Inc. As for now, no rental. I don't believe because we couldn't do that before. You
And
have to
see,
push for that one.
we have an example of some new player that actually have spent a lot of money. General Magnetic said he spent 10,000 in his first week or two.
No, he said
So we'll have
1,000, not 10.
Oh, yeah, I'm not
okay
saying
1,000.
that. Yeah, we will get those players, but I'm saying you don't like shoot for those, right?
Yeah, it's not the
You shoot for
majority.
a whole bunch of people, and then you're naturally going to get an Ank, even though an Ank's, like a needle in a haystack. But we do have some serious big players that really love the game and see the opportunity and see the potential. And some guys get it quicker than others. I was actually one of the guys that got it slow. Like I was the guy buying $2 pack here or there, buying a few cards here and there, buying some nickel cards, for a while, and not really until the first Kickstarter came out, that did I really start, putting, thousands of dollars in, right? Like I started with, less than $100. So everybody has a
Me too.
different point where
Me
they get
too.
turned on, Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I started super slow. I remember I started and it was, when beta was out. And I look back and I'm like, I could have bought so many beta cards,
Yeah,
but I just.
yeah.
Oh
Tell me
yeah.
about it.
I still think about the penny alpha commons. I mean,
Yeah.
we were bitching about them. Literally, we were saying, God, we're never going to ever, get through these. Look at all these, can you guys do something? They shouldn't be trading below a penny. And like the community was negative at the time. And I remember Aggie scooping them all up just because he got tired of hearing everybody. So he just went out and just literally cleaning everything up that was trading below a penny. Which nowadays you look at that and like, wow, that would have, you know, I mean, it'd be great.
Yeah, yeah.
We get
Channel Magnetics asking, and I think you do, but we can go ahead and talk about these guys. Do you have a lot of confidence in the new marketing partners, Blaze, and I forget the other two guys who came over from YGG? I think they've done really well in the town halls that they've had. I know they had Blaze
They
also
came from
did.
Illuvium actually. Andrew was in Illuvium and he
Oh, did
was
I say
doing
that? I might have said the
good
wrong
job.
game, huh? I said YGG or something, didn't I?
Yeah, he was
yeah.
actually doing a very good job in Illuvium because I was following Illuvium as well, and he is good marketer for sure.
I well, there's two different things. One, Blaze is on the team, and yes, I have a lot of confidence in Blaze. He's young, right? So unlike me, right? He's young, so he's aggressive. He's got energy, exactly everything you want in somebody that's out marketing your game. I think he knows what to do. He was a big part of making sure the set was designed properly. Um, so I have a high degree of confidence in Blaze. Regarding the other group that's outside our firm, meaning they're not they're like on contract as opposed to our team, so to speak. Um, we have things that we're waiting on them to deliver. So far, everything you've seen delivered has been, from our side. Having said that, you know, yeah, I mean they talk well and obviously do some high quality work. I guess we'll see when we see what they deliver, what kind of impact it has.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I definitely, when Blaze has come, if you haven't heard him speak channel on the town hall where he was introduced and he talked about his background and he brought in the two guys that is part of the contracting, it was definitely a good show, good listen. It's worth doing. I do know, like, one of the things that I appreciate about Blaze is somebody that produces content and produces tweets. I used to kind of feel like I was doing that and the team didn't support it, and it was a little bit confusing because I'm like, hey guys, I'm out here, I'm pushing your game, I'm making videos about your game. Sometimes I'm spending hours researching things to be able to bring people certain strategies or numbers or things, and it just didn't always feel like the marketing guys were catching that, spreading it. Man, Blaze responds to like every one of my tweets. He retweets every single thing. He tags me and stuff sometimes just to make sure I see it. I'm like, this is completely different from that
Yes.
point of view. So it'll definitely help people like me, because anybody who's been following my channel, we've always done our live show, but I used to create 2 to 3 videos a week, and then it was one video a week, then it was one video every other week, and just I got to the point where like I just didn't feel like putting in all that time was worth it. And then in the last couple of weeks, you saw I put out 2 Arcane Conclave Arcana pre-sale videos that did take hours for me to do all the math, create the spreadsheets, be able to come and tell people buy these many of these packs. I haven't done that in forever. So this set has got me excited. It took me from somebody who was going to sit this set out. I got to test it. Said, okay, never mind. I can't sit this out. I won't be competitive anymore. And this is incredible. So I went literally from not getting into putting 5K in on the day one, and being a lot more active. And I know that there's at least a couple other people who I know in the influencer sphere who were kind of wondering, was it time to stop? And they're all getting excited again to do more, to produce more, to be here, feeling like this is a special time. So it's definitely nice to have that going on, and I do think Blaze has been a part of that because he's just so active out there on X. It's incredible, and
Yeah.
it's cool. Like, I mean, how often do you tweet about anything that you do, and the lead marketing guy comes and goes, "Hey, thanks. That's cool. Check this video is cool," and he retweets you. That doesn't happen for very many projects. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I 100% agree with you. And I think, I wasn't on the team when Blaze was first hired. And I was concerned because at that time, I was actually in conversation with Yaba about this role. And I was like, in my mind, like, you just hired somebody. I haven't met him. I didn't know, what to think of him, that kind of thing. And so I had a quick conversation with him. And when I say quick, like literally within 2 minutes, I knew that Blaze got it. And as soon as I wrapped up that call, which wasn't more than 15 minutes, I put out a message, on Discord saying, this guy's one of us, right? And by that I mean, he's a player. He understands like what we were missing, like exactly what you said in the past. Like they they did have marketing people and sales people, but they weren't very good, right? I believe Blaze is good. I believe he understands that his job is to bring revenues, to excite people, to motivate people. A lot of what he's done is hard to see. So, for instance, we wouldn't have black foils without Blaze, right? It just wouldn't have happened. So, numbered cards wouldn't have happened without Blaze. Like things like that are a big deal. And, like people like, they're always thinking like, oh, it's all about advertising. Well, not really. I mean, sales and marketing is much more than advertising. Anybody can advertise, right? That's somewhat of a, you understand your demographic, you spend the money, in an effective way. Is really not rocket science, right? Like you understand who you're trying to get, and you then spend the money and find the right channels, to spend that money. but marketing is much deeper than that because you have to make your product a product that's going to sell, right? Like who are you going to sell to, and then what should it be? And I think that's where Blaze has been extremely helpful. And I think over time, people are going to really understand, like, he was very instrumental. He's still going to make mistakes, just like everybody, just like I talked about. Like, I'm going to do things, and you guys are going to say, well, why did Dave run Brave ads, for instance? And maybe they don't bring in everybody, which is fine. I mean, we're not going to go spend ridiculous amounts of money, you know, stupidly on things like Imagine Dragons or some of the things that they did before. Even the Waka Flocka type thing. I don't even know what they paid, but to me, it was probably not a very smart investment. So everything that I'm going to do and everything that Blaze will have to do underneath me is make sense, right? Like what normal people would do. Like, all right, how much are we going to spend on this, Blaze? We're going to spend $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, whatever. What are we expecting to get? I'm gonna hold his feet to the fire, and he fully understands that, and I believe he's gonna win a lot more than he doesn't. So I'm really excited about Blaze.
I have a couple of questions. Yeah, stock jockey with the gold flag. I have a couple of questions. Are there any talks about eventually a possibility of introducing again reward cards that are not so bound? Because there were talks, I
Yes,
don't know. So it's a
yeah,
possibility.
yes.
Is there have there been any discussions or consideration eventually of restart of Splinterlands TV?
Uh, Not okay on the cards. Yes, and a lot of that's going to come in a way that makes sense. So I would say that my philosophy on that is, so, when we gave out cards that people earned, that was great until we gave out too many. Then that was horrible, right? So we went from one thing to the other. Somewhere in between, right, is the right balance. So it's not about like, oh, soulbound suck, and regular cards are great, or vice versa. No, both are good tools done in the proper, with the proper thought. So if you look at, for instance, just even how the set was designed, the amount of cards that we put out, like who's that going to appeal to? What's the purpose? Like everything has a purpose. So when you come to like cards, are they all going to be soulbound in the future? My answer is no. There will be some that will not be soulbound. Okay, and that kind of applies to everything. What was your second question now, baby? Oh, the
About any talks about rebooting Splinterlands TV for season two?
I want to really get the engagement big time of our influencers. Like Steve said, he kind of felt like he spent all his time, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but essentially, I get the impression that he felt that it wasn't uh, supported properly. So he kind of like lost interest, or at least interest waned. Is that appropriate, Steve?
Yeah, it was just kind of a combination, I think, of the time before this time when the team was in flux, the token wasn't doing well. We went down to only one town hall a week, so it made it harder to make content because we didn't have as much stuff to just cover that you guys were giving us. We didn't have as much chances
I mean,
to
one a
do
month,
the yeah,
not
when
one
we
a
were
week.
only doing one a month, and that's why one of the when just by introducing the influencer town hall and the occasional Claiborne Dow town halls, that has helped. But it was like if it was at the time when really the community kind of, and I kind of understood it. Matt shrunk everything down. They were nose down. They were building, and that's been proven out. But as a content creator, at that point, you really have to push to be like, okay, what am I going to make a video about? They haven't
Right.
talked to us for 2 weeks. Nothing's new. Um, what do I do? and so,
Right.
and then that level of work, and you're like, and then I'm gonna do it, and no one's gonna watch it because it's not really new, And so it definitely feels different now. It feels more exciting. It feels like more people are showing up and more people are engaged and asking tough questions or super excited about what's going on. And so and it's just it's always cool when you're somebody who's, we're not making lots of money making these videos. We're not guys getting 15, 20,000 live viewers and hundreds of thousands of views. So to have the team still willing to interact with us, still, able to do stuff, for us and bring us into things, is just a nice thing to do. It was also nice you guys let us reveal those cards this go around. It'll be interesting to see if we get to reveal the other cards for the free set. What is it called? I forgot all of a sudden.
Rewards?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
the campaign mode.
Yeah, the campaign mode set.
Foundation cards. Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, so just
go ahead.
just stuff like that. It's just nice because it's a lot easier to be somebody who's making videos following you guys when you guys are doing stuff and when you guys are active, or if you guys are really active with us, then it's like, oh well. You know what? I have this little wrinkle I want to make it about, or there's this little thing that's being overlooked. Let me go talk about that. And so that kind of stuff, I've been a lot more motivated to do that in the last couple of weeks, and it's going to show, I think, in the kind of videos that start to be made. Because I did start to feel like, like even Bojangles took like 2 months off or something like that from the People's Guild. So I think a lot of us hit that wall a little bit, and a lot of us now, luckily, are getting back into it. So
yeah, and taking that back to Splinterlands TV, I don't know that 24 hours a day was the right way to go about it. I do think that we need to coordinate much better. Like, one thing I liked about it was there was some degree of coordination, meaning, like everybody had a purpose, right? Like, it wasn't like anybody just did whatever they wanted. There was a purpose. And in my opinion, that's a good goal, right? Like, we should want to support you making content. So if you're telling us, hey, one town hall a month isn't enough for us to really make good content, well, we don't want you to die on the vine and not have anything to talk about. So we're going to have more than one town hall a month. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? Like, we need to figure out, like, what can we talk about? What are the things that we're doing? There's a ton of stuff. I mean, you guys have no idea how awesome some of the stuff is behind the scenes. Like there's half a dozen modes out there that are just unbelievably cool. And if you guys knew about them, you'd be talking about them. You'd be excited. You'd be like super excited about, telling your friends and the cool stuff coming. But they were always like afraid to say too much because, they would get in troubles, or the community, would last back. And so, there is that balance. I definitely set up the influencer channel because I want to support you guys. I have a lot of ideas on how we can do that. And the goal is not necessarily to have 24 hours a day, but to be much more integrated with you guys so that, our messages are getting out. I'd much rather use you guys to get the word out than have us produce everything all the time.
So my last question is: are there any at least small talk about potential Splinterverse 2?
Yes, but mainly people have gotten excited again. Obviously our token doubled in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. People are getting excited again, that go back to the hope versus confidence, right? So somewhere there's a transition between, and this is one thing I've learned in the real world. You can't fake it, right? Like, you can have hope and you really have hope. I mean, everybody here has some degree of hope or we wouldn't be here. We would have left a long time ago. So there has been hope all along. Confidence, on the other hand, is also can't be faked. And you'll know it when you see it, right? Like, each person, has their own feel. Collectively, you'll see it in the price. Right now, I would say that there's that excitement, that excitement that's coming around. And I just lost my train of thought, baby. What was your question again? I was going to make a
Splinterverse
point.
2.
Oh yeah, Splinterverse. So people in that moment are starting to talk about stuff like that. My answer would be, look, if we sell out the pre-sale, I don't think it's that hard to imagine us having a Splinterfest, because that would mean we do 4.4 million in sales, which would be twice what we did before, which would be a measure of support or confidence. Having said that, I'm not about to say, yep, we sell out the pre-sale, we're gonna do that. But I'm saying, like, the way that you measure how we're doing is going to determine when we could do a Splinterfest. I don't want to take the eye off the ball of new players coming in. So whatever we do, it's got to be strong enough to be able to make sure that happens before we start thinking about all the other stuff that is fun but not necessarily critical. Like, in my eyes, getting new players is the thing that we all want, even if we think we want something else. Like, somebody wants a change to the rental market, somebody else wants a change to survival mode, somebody else wants a new bracket put in for ranked play. At the end of the day, it all comes down to, have we created a game where people feel good about coming in, where they really get to understand the premium quality game that we have? Is that happening? And right now, no, but I think we can turn that pretty quick, especially if we sell out the pre-sale. And the reason is not because it's like some kind of promise. It's because if we're there, then that tells you the intensity of which people are believing in where we are, right? And so it puts money in the pockets. It enables us to fund the things that we need to do, and therefore make it happen faster. Like I said, I've got in my head how we're going to do it. It's just a matter of being able to get it done. Like, in other words, what do we need to do? And a lot of it is just, like I said, some of it's trial and error. Like, we're gonna try a lot of different things, and we're gonna find what works.
My point is
Yeah.
not out of the question, right? It's like it's a possibility. It's a distant, but it's a possibility.
We have
Yeah,
some interesting stuff in the chat. Tails is mentioning, he really liked being a part of Splinter's Lands TV. He was a member. I was a member. Baby was a member. It's kind of how we met. In the But Raven Quest is a game that he's currently streaming over there on Twitch. They're doing something with Twitch's new drops program. I don't know much about it, but he's saying it doesn't cost the project any money and it helps you get more viewers. And I think in that one, it's not like Splinterlands TV where you go 24/7. It's more like anybody can stream your game. And then if anybody watches me streaming Splinterlands, they get to be able to earn these drop things, no matter which person they're watching. So, he's just mentioning that because it's something that he's taking part in that got him to switch over to streaming that game a decent amount. And then Channel Magnetic, this one's kind of interesting. A little Kevin Bacon here, but his fiance's cousin apparently is the VP of marketing at Wizards of Coast. So he's asking if you guys have a press kit that you'd want him to send to the Wizards of Coast people. I don't know
sure.
exactly how that would integrate necessarily, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to have somebody who has a contact over there, I suppose.
Yeah. In terms of Wizards of the Coast, whether that makes sense or not, I don't mind running anything down. There was one of our people sent me a link to these guys that get like 1 million hits on their little. They have like a little comedy spoof type thing, and they product place, you know, different games basically, and they're right in our alley. Meaning our type of game. Um, so I mean, I watched it. I thought it was high quality. I thought it was interesting. So I shot him a message and said, what's it cost? And Like I'll run down any of those things. So yes, definitely get me that information. As far as so channel magnetic, you can shoot me that directly on Discord. And then in terms of doing Twitch, I would love that. I would love to find ways to help you guys get out there, and not even just for us. Like I know everybody's like, oh, you know, Splinterlands is all it's about. No, I want you guys to be big. I want you guys to, you know, be like major influencers out there. And if you're doing another game, like I know Tails is doing, as long as he's still Splinterlands, does things for Splinterlands, like I'm happy to help him grow. And so if we can participate in that drop program, I know about it. I don't know the details of it. So Tails, if you want to get with me and I'm happy to walk through, how do we get going with it?
All right, and then Ink
Awesome.
has a question that is kind of interesting. Are the Gladiator cards set to be pushed out of Modern anytime soon, and a new set of those coming out? Do you know?
I don't. I know that we're going to revamp guilds. That's on the everything that we've done since I've been here, which is roughly 2 months, has been let's make sure Conclave Arcana comes off without problems. Right. So everything from all the meetings about how the cards are set up to the testing to all the technical aspects to designing new foils, making sure they run. I mean, as Nate said on, I think it was People's Guild, where he said we've never done as many things ever before. Like this is the most we've ever done, and he was saying that like a little bit like like man, they're pushing me hard, and I guess I would be the guy pushing, which is fine. I actually take that as a good thing because that's my job, right? My job is to make sure we get stuff done. Um, so I hate having to give answers like I don't know, right? But the reason why I'm giving those answers and why I'm going through this process is because like gladiator cards is something obviously they've been out for years. So we need it's time to have a new set at some point. We have not talked about what to do with it because we're kind of like embargoed on doing new things at this point. Like right now, it's like all hands on deck. Make sure we deliver on Conclave Arcana, and then from there, we're going to have much more wide range of conversations about all these other things.
This one's kind of an easier question here. I'm pretty sure I know this, but the pre-sale packs, there's no daily burn, right? It's only burned if it doesn't sell out at the end of the pre-sale.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
So that was for Mikhail. And he did let us know also earlier that we did pass 11 million SPS burned on the day. So
Wow.
it's
Nice.
pretty incredible.
Where are we at on the pre-sale, by the way? Have you guys looked?
Oh, sorry. My little wild bot is running every once in a while. Let me go back here. And then I need to hit leaderboard.
808. 808. I just looked.
Oh yeah, 808. So it hasn't had any real big movements, but it's been up about, I don't know. I guess that is kind of big. Like 3 or 4 million during the show,
Yep.
right? In credits spent. So it's definitely kind of interesting. So legendaries, you've had 6,800 bought, 30,000 alchemy. Man, people are really, really see. That just kind of shows how much black foils are affecting at least the pre-sale, because alchemy packs by far are the best way to get a black foil card. Those with midnight potions will have the best chance to get one of those, and those packs, I mean, for being 3 times the cost, they're almost half as many of this as compared to how many standards have been bought.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts about Voctis and Crypto Eater missing from the leaderboard? Do you expect like something later down the line?
Did you
Because
ask
I
me
think,
that or Steve?
well, I
I
mean,
think he's
mostly
asking
you
either of us. I
or
don't know.
both of you, yeah.
Is
Did
Vutkiss not on
notice?
here at all?
Well, I haven't seen him. I saw Azercon, but Vactis and Crypt Eater, I haven't, and I believe
I,
Housewife I
I
haven't seen.
I know Azurcon said he was bringing 40,000 into the set, but
No,
I
he's there. I
I
saw Azercon, but
but
yeah.
I heard he's gonna spread. I heard somebody else also say he tends to spread his buys out. That way he can get a couple titles because he feels like you could probably get three accounts onto the board for 10 if you're putting $12,000 on each one. He might be right on that. Um, but I do feel like I think some of us. Oh, Housewife is here for the
Oh,
win,
okay.
so 6 million in. It's not too
Well,
bad.
it's a little bit untypical that low, but I mean, yeah. It was in regards to like, do you guys expect like some big buys coming up down the road as well?
Well,
Because
I know AJ's group. This is just pretty much what I put together and one other buy. So he's as we're part of this, they have some whales on the other side who are kind of waiting to see where things are going. They're watching the sale that have upwards of like 100 million. They're thinking about bringing in, but they don't want to bring in that much more than they need to because they're willing to go to the secondary market a little bit as well. But they do want to make sure that they want a leaderboard card. They want the card to be able to be part of their project. And that way they can they've got the EMP card. I don't know if this is going to be a second EMP card. AJ's got a couple different projects that he's a part of, and so that this was a big thing they had planned. I don't know. These are kind of individual accounts. I don't know if they are just buying for themselves. And I think
probably.
one of the things Dave said, this is not like the last leaderboard. You could buy tomorrow, you could buy on the last day, you could buy today. You get the same amount of points towards this
If there are
leaderboard.
still cards left or still packs left. So,
Yeah, if
Yes.
there's still packs left, but we haven't been selling them that fast, right? We
well,
still
I mean, one
have.
third. Well, let's face it, one third of the alchemy packs I think are gone.
Yeah, 1/5 of the total is done. Basically, it's 4.4 million dollars. So we did 800,000 because we're at peg basically. So we did about a fifth today.
And I'm
So
saying like the alchemy, I saw it's showing like 30,000 out of 100,000, like almost like 30%, like gone
Yeah, you
already.
got you got alchemy at 30%. We got the numbers here from the chat, and the other two at 13.7 and 13.6 for standard and legendary. So alchemy is definitely going faster. That does mean some of the whales who are sitting on the outside, who want alchemy packs, might have to move sooner than later if they want to get those during the
That's what
pre-sale.
I'm saying. That's why I said if there are packs, I'm not saying that we'll completely sell out, although it's not out of the question. But yeah, some packs are moving like one third are gone. Like so, it's like not for less than a day. So it's not that many left.
And we
I
have it
think,
on Angela's authority here that there are some big buyers who think SPS might start to move a little bit, and so they're holding off on their burns to
yeah,
hopefully get a little more.
that's what I was going to say. I think if SPS moves up, people are going to move pretty quick. In other words, I think there's people that have unstaked that are waiting to see, where SPS goes. It kind of pulled back from like 0.0144. They probably held off a little bit today to see, see if it goes back up before they move. So, it's fine. I mean, that's part of the fun of it, if you ask me. And
So
and
basically,
yet,
both
go ahead.
sorry, yeah, both of your opinions is like the end of the leaderboard will be nowhere near what it is today in general.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's going. I think these numbers are going to be a lot bigger to get these top six spots.
Okay.
yeah, they're getting the number one max gold black foil. Not to mention, most the most raffle tickets, as well as all the other stuff. I mean, there's 71 prizes in there. That's a huge incentive.
Aaron's asking something I kind of forgot about. He's asking, is the salt system and enhanced potions getting erased from the land white paper because the new aura plots and midnight potions?
No, no.
Okay, nope. Salt is still coming, Aaron. So salty
Yep.
guys like you can still farm it. And he
Aaron is
wants
asking an interesting
he's
question.
also wanting water production so that you can have a brewery. He really wants to have a tavern inside of his land pretty bad. So I think
I
he's
guess
So
brought
we
that
could.
up.
Aaron is asking, is the salt system and enhanced potions getting erased from the land white paper because of the new aura plots and midnight potions?
Yeah, no, he said
No.
no to that.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I
Yeah,
was lost.
these are just. It's just getting added. That's all. In other words, we developed. We didn't have black foil cards before. We had black foil cards. We had gold foil cards, and we had gold foil potions. So we said, hey, we should have black foil potions too. And by the way, land would be a great place to craft them on. But it doesn't change
Yeah.
anything in the past. You know, like the white paper is still the white paper.
Then and I know Matt brought it up in the town hall. At least for now, Aaron, there he didn't have any plans to add drinks into Pretoria, but you know that could change at some point. He was kind of upset we were only going to be making it magical food in the white paper and no magical drinks. So
Oh, we could. I mean, things like that are anything's possible. You know, one thing that I I'm very open to all kinds of ideas. I think a lot of times, like I'll say something, for instance, like we were talking about earlier about the soulbound cards versus non-soulbound, and like some people, they'll like argue, like, no, it's got to be soulbound, or no, it's got to be non-soulbound, and it's like they don't want to consider the other side is possible too, right? Or there's a third solution that maybe some soulbound, some not soulbound. It's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, we could have drinks on land. I mean, I you know, energy drinks as opposed to just the food. I mean, I don't know how that would work, but I don't see why we couldn't consider it. I'll put it that way.
Aaron, you said you'd stop, but Dave said, "Hey, no, it's possible. Just keep asking. You never know."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that land's going to grow into quite a lot of things. It is going to be interesting to see. You know, I'm definitely interested to see how much additional land is running once these black potions come into play. Because it's going to be for this entire year the packs are for sale. Unless it's only like half a year because we're very popular, but that black potions are going to be needed, and nobody's going to want to open packs without. I mean, I know once I started opening packs with potions, I never wanted to open packs without potions, and now there's a new potion, so
Especially when you're thinking about the black foil. I mean, double the odds of getting, the highest end card you can get, or that you can mint, basically.
sorry, they're making me laugh in the chat. They're talking about Salty Bear and energy drink sponsored by Red Bulls, and Baby Omega's dropping jokes. He said, "Black foils give you wings, guys. Don't forget about that." So
And we have Django's back at the
yeah,
end
look,
of the
Jingles,
show.
we kept going so long,
I
but you were
guess
able
that
to come
I,
back this time.
I guess that's the side we need to start wrapping up. I mean, he was here to open the show, and he's here get I guess close it. Anyways, like we're 2 hours 15 minutes already.
Yeah, yeah. My family is going to be wanting me to take care of a few things and help get the kids in bed if they're not already. So we can start to wrap things up. If there's anybody who didn't ask any question, you can maybe pop them in really quick. Did you have any last things you wanted to ask, baby, of Dave? Or
Oh, I more like
I know.
want to give the option of Dave if he has any last thoughts that he wants to share with the community, with our small community here.
I just want to say thanks to everybody for being here, for you guys doing the show, for all the people that are watching the stream, for the people that participate in the game. I mean, that's why I want to do this, because of you guys, right? Like, I believe that we have the opportunity, and the thing that drives me is I want to see us succeed. And I wouldn't be motivated to do that if you guys weren't as awesome as you are. So obviously, I
Thanks.
know quite a few of you over the years, but as a group, I mean, like what you guys do is fantastic, and I'm super appreciative of it. So thank you. That's
And
it.
we
One
really
last
hope.
question from Aaron that I actually want to know, kind of, but he's asking if you only own a keep art castle and you get your aura in taxes, can you make midnight potions, or are they made at the huts, so you'll need a permit as well?
I'm thinking. I believe you craft them. Well, I know you craft them the same way you do the totems. So I don't think that's done inside the building. I think the aura is produced at the work site. The Then the aura is what crafts the potions the same way you combine a totem. So I think the answer, but I'm not going to 100% say, because that's not, I don't get involved in those kind of details. I do listen at the meetings, so I think the answer is no. But having said that, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 95% sure.
Yeah, so it
And if
sounds
you
like if you only own a keep aura castle, you can just make potions with the aura that you get, from what Dave understands. But remember, things are always subject to change around here until it's actually in the game and working.
We
and if
also
any of you guys want to send me a direct message with any question that I didn't answer, send it to me. I'll get the little red notification and I will answer it tomorrow. So, I don't have the answer tonight off the top of my head, but that's not a hard answer to get.
and we want to thank you for your time, Dave, and for your willingness to come to the show and being with us with our small community. And uh, I see a lot of thank yous from the chat as well. So yeah, everybody's grateful for your appearance, and I think everybody's happy to have heard the things that you've shared with us.
Well, good. And I mean that, by the way, what I said about you guys. I mean, I don't I know people are nice to me, but I mean, I truly am really it's hard to even explain. Like, the reason I took the job is because of what you guys do. Like, we're all in this together. I'm just like everybody else, right? And I believe I can help based on my experience in life. I believe I can help move the ball a little quicker than maybe it was going to go before. So, that's why I raised my hand and said, "Hey, let's get this done." And, I wouldn't do that. I'm telling you right now, it's definitely not the money. I'm doing that because of the quality people that we have. And so thank you too for, being part of that, and really helping us get to the point we are. And then the same thing with the people in the audience, except for Jangles. He's a troublemaker, but everybody else is good.
Yeah, we hate jungles here.
Yeah, no
He's
kidding, man.
persona
That
non
guy.
grata.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I did throw the new card up on the screen for anybody who joined late and is still here. You get to see it one more time. It is a pretty cool little elf, but if you want the full breakdown, we broke that down earlier in the show. And with that, guys, I think I'm going to be saying goodnight to all of you. You guys want to say goodnight really quick before I end this?
Hi guys, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yep, definitely. Thank you.
All right, we are only live on Twitch for Ank at this point. I'll be ending that because I am